So I could have asked something along those lines, okay? Also, in terms of the human resource job that you told me, I could have said, okay, well, is there any way that I could get a job description for the job that you might be considering me for? You told me about the follow-up for the GROW program. If you would consider me for the local HR program, what would be the follow-up for that, and could I receive the job description on that? And actually, that would have probably been a pretty good question to ask him, okay? That way, he didn't just forget about considering me for that one, okay? So that I could have done.
Is that done better, or?
I would have done better if I had done that. Okay?
I think I would say no more than 3 questions. I think 4 is a lot. Because people tend to have more than one interview, and so I would say 3 questions. I'm a big believer in the McKinsey 1, 3, or 5. Nothing ever happens in 2s or 4s. I don't know why that is, but McKinsey, they get paid a lot of money, and they say every answer is in 1, 3, or 5s. So I'll stick with 3 on that one. You have to be careful when you ask about jobs, because what you don't want to do is leave them thinking with the last question that, depending on their answer, you may or may not be excited about. So I think you can ask the right questions. But like, for example, if you were to ask, how long do you think I would have to be in this job before the next one? That would be a bad question. But you get them. People say, if I take this job, when could I be considered for the next job? I'm like, you just walked yourself right out the door. I mean, we haven't even hired you for this one. You're already worried about the next one, right? So, but I think anything about the job, like, can you tell me a little bit more about the 18 months? How much of it is overseas? How much of it is hands-on? Is it a mixture of academics versus hands-on? That kind of stuff is good. I think it's a good point. One of the questions probably makes sense to me about the job. It depends. For this one, it was basically a training program.
Right.
But if it's about a specific job.
So I always have those 2 last questions I ask. I always ask those 2. I always ask those 2. I want you to always ask those 2. So then, whatever you want to do with the other one. Just whatever you do, don't ask about something you can learn on your own. If it's on the website, if it's something you can figure out, if you can learn about their benefits, you can learn about something on your own, doing your research, do that. Don't come in there and ask them, okay, what kind of benefits do you offer? And don't be the first one that started the conversation about money. Don't ask them, okay, so how much are you going to pay me? Do not do that, okay?
Although I thought you weaved it in very nicely.
Well, when you said, when you take this other job, I don't know which one. I almost said, well, which one pays more? But I didn't. I held it in. Well, how much money is your making GROW? How much is it?
Yeah.
So, but I figure if he hired me for the HR job, it would be paying me more than GROW. So, and then I know what everybody makes. So,
Exactly.
pay the HR people well, because we know what everybody makes. But I always ask those last 2 questions, which, one, I want them to think about, if I can get them to tell me what they liked about me as a candidate, good.
No, I'm on the fence about that one. I love the question, when do you think I'll be hearing from you? I think that's a great one. And, the last time I came, you said you tell your students to do that, and I sort of reacted a little negatively to it. But the more I think about it, the more I like it. But I think you have to sort of read your audience as to how you would ask that question. Personally, I probably don't want to let you know whether I liked you or not. I tend to be the kind of person that will let you know if I liked you and not let you know if I didn't like you. My peers would say I make it very evident if I don't like. But the interviewee rarely I would say never notices that. It's like, and I keep talking, but my people. But I think I feel sort of painted in a corner. Tell me what I did well and what I didn't, because I sort of feel like you're asking me, did I make it to the next round? And I may not want to tell you that. B, you might be the first out of 10 interviews, and I don't want to lead you up and say, look, 5 things I liked and 1. So I think you have to play that by ear. In general, I would agree with you, but I would say, you know, if it's a stuck-up curmudgeon that hasn't moved any facial muscles for 45 minutes, I might think twice about it. I would like the question. It puts me in a corner a bit. I think she's very aggressive. She wants the job, probably got other things going on. I'm not the only thing in her life, you know, so 9 out of 10, I would agree.
Okay, thank you. Well, here's my philosophy on that, okay? Is one, if I get you to tell me, if you'll tell me. If you tell me no, hey, I back off.
Yeah.
But if you'll tell me, then those are things that I'm gonna put in a follow-up letter. Say, hey, remember
Yeah.
me? This is what you liked about me.
Yeah.
And if you tell me what concerns you have about me joining the organization, it gives me an opportunity to address it.
Yeah.
So for example, that's happened to me in the past where somebody says, well, I'm concerned, you know, the volume that you'll be handling, you're going from this amount to
Yeah.
10 times more, and how are you gonna handle it?
Yeah. You can
And-
follow that up. You can address it and give them a second shot at it.
Right, so therefore, so it came in and I came in and I said, well, I'm looking for your leadership and how will you do that? And then when I did the follow-up letter, I gave them specific, I gave them more of a detailed plan, but at least I was able to respond to it and try to address that concern. So that's why I do that. So tell me what you like, tell me what your concerns are, because if you tell me, if you don't tell me, okay, fine. But if you tell me, then maybe I can address it and put myself back in the contender role. So that's why I do it.
Yeah, no, like I
If you
said,
were on the other side, if you were on the other side, would you ask the question?
Maybe not as directly, but I get that answer before I left.
Okay, so how would you ask it less directly?
Well, one is, you know, I might ask first, when do you expect I'll hear from you?
Okay.
And if you ask me that question, I didn't like you, I'll probably say, 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 weeks, I don't know, we got a lot of things going on, we're interviewing a lot of people. If I really liked you, because if I really liked you, my mindset is automatically, man, maybe I don't have to interview 10 other people, this thing could go quicker than I want, and my response will somehow feel that way.
Okay.
So I love that question. And I would maybe ask it, maybe even just with a preamble. I don't know if you like doing this, and if not, that's fine, but do you have any feedback for me on how I did on the interview or something like that? You know, sort of give them an out.
Okay.
But then again, you know, I like the aggressiveness. You know,
So, okay.
still getting used to it.
Okay.
I don't hear it a lot. I don't hear it a lot.
Okay, did somebody ask a question and I haven't given them candy? No? Okay. Okay, let's see, is there somebody else who hasn't said anything? No, okay, yes.
Okay, why is it forbidden not to ask about pay?
Okay, if you ask them how much I'm gonna get paid, okay, a good interviewer is gonna do what? Kick it back to them and say, well, how much were you making your last job? Well, you may not wanna get paid anything near what you were making at your last job. Let's say you were working retail and you were making an hourly wage, okay? You're making whatever, 10 bucks an hour, if that, right? And now you've got your degree. Do you want a job like that? No, you don't. You want to break into a salaried role, right? So you don't want them going based on that, because if I base off what I made last time and I give you 10 or 15% on top of that, I'm still not making any money, right? So I like to keep the question about money on them. So if they ask me how much money you're looking for, I kick it back to them. Well, based on my skills and experience and ability to meet and exceed your expectations for this job, what would you like to pay me? Or the top of the pay scale would be acceptable. Whatever, okay? Whatever it is, I want to kick it back to them. Okay, based on my ability to meet and exceed your expectations, what would be, I expect a compensation, you know, that represents that. Whatever.
Yeah, there's other ways to, if you really want to make it clear to them, let's say your resume sort of falls in that category of, you know, I did these kinds of jobs, now I've gotten my degree and I expect more. Weave it into one of your answers. So, you know, the reason I went to DeVry is that, you know, this is the kind of job I want, and it's because I want to provide for my family, and I didn't, you know, and I want to, so immediately they know, okay, I'm not going to get away with the Best Buy salary, right? So